Comedy TV live on YouTube and Ayaka Kitchen. Now, please give it up for your warm-up act, a toast.
Hello! Hi everybody! How are you doing? A toast, I'm 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 Ayaka Kitchen, I'm a toast, I'm a toast, I'm a toast, I'm a toast, yay! Okay. Knock, shock, another one today, okay? Are you ready? Knock. Who's there? Someone who's studying about Mongolia. Someone who's studying about Mongolia. Who? Mongolia. Huh? No? Oh, okay. Good toss. Okay. Thank you. Okay. It's a bad joke. It's not funny. You know, it's okay. I'm gonna just blame it on Ayaka. It's not my fault. It's not Toast's fault. No, I'm a toast. I'm only a toast, and I don't come up with those jokes. Ayaka forces me to say those bad jokes. Okay, bye. Was Toast blaming on me for those bad puns? Oh no! Oh, now everyone knows that I'm really bad at coming up with puns. But that's okay. That's my life. It's okay. Hi, I'm Ayaka. Hi. Yeah, puns are hard, isn't it? And I don't know how people come up with puns, those dad jokes and stuff. It's hard. But today, I don't care. I don't care about puns today because I got booze. That's not even a pun, is it? Booze is the food that we're going to talk about. But yeah, I'm super excited about this because I'll have a great friend coming in, and it's a very rare kind of food that I don't often eat, so I'm excited. But before that, here is the donation link for Bad Dog Comedy TV. It's run by Bad Dog Theater. Bad Dog Theater is an amazing place. They are such a great place for the community. They push diversity and inclusion and equity, all that kind of stuff. And now it's not just the community in Toronto, but it's for all over the world now. We are through YouTube. So yeah, consider donating if you are capable of donating. And don't forget to subscribe. Bad Dog Comedy TV YouTube channel. Yay! Cool. Yeah, so today I have my friend waiting on the other side of my kitchen, and I'm gonna just introduce her. So welcome, Ivelle!
Hi!
We're kind of matchy today.
I know. Today is kind of like black turtleneck kind of day, huh?
Yeah, I love it. I actually, like, seriously, like, I appreciate that because you are so stylish. Like, every time I see you, you're like such like funky, cool clothes you're wearing, or like I've been to your place and you have such good eye for art. So yeah, I feel honored.
Well, thank you so much. So many compliments.
Yeah, so many compliments. But seriously, like, yeah, everybody check out Ivelle's house because it's so much.
Well, yes, if the pandemic wasn't around, I'd have a lot of people around, yes.
Yeah. I wonder, well, I always ask people a question at the beginning of this show saying, like, what's your background? But maybe you can talk about your, like, art background as well, because maybe it's something to do with living where you used to live. I don't know. We'll find out. So what is your background?
Well, yeah, that's a funny one because I actually didn't study art, but I've always been really interested in visual arts. And, you know, when I was younger, very little, I used to draw these kind of like manga. Doodles.
Really? You never told me that before.
But it was just it was like when I was 12 or 13 or so, and I used to dream about one day being an illustrator. But I realized actually, you know, there's so many more people who are much better than me. And also I really like maths and the sciences and so on. So I studied marketing and instead of anything to do with the arts. But on the side, I was always like kind of interested and involved in that. And funny enough, all my school friends from back in the day, they're all doing some kind of creative profession. And it's strange. And amongst them, I'm the only normal person with a normal job. So yeah, maybe that has some influence in it. But I like things.
In the school, you went to school in England, London, is that correct?
Yeah, I went to university there, but I went to high school in Vienna, in Austria, because my parents moved there from Mongolia when I was 10. And so I went to high school there.
That's so, like, for me, like Vienna, I've been to Vienna once, and then it was such like a amazing energy place with like pop art and modern art, and then like super traditional, like old, like European old tradition, and like it was all mixed in such a nice way. So I saw so many like cool art galleries and museums and stuff like that. So
yeah,
that was really cool.
They say that like there's actually like quite a large concentration of artists there, because the government or the society is really into supporting the creative in arts, like artists and so on. There's a lot of funding that's available for people who want to study art, who become artists and so on. And they say almost that like per square mile, it's the highest concentration in Europe in terms of number of artists versus square mile.
I believe it. Even like not just the visual art, but like Mozart, Beethoven, like all those people, like everyone wanted to go to Vienna at some point. And that's what I did there as well. Like I wanted to go to Vienna to experience the music scene, and music scene is like a modern way of saying, but like going to see opera and all that kind of stuff, visiting Beethoven's graveyard, like all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I was so shocked how artsy and cool Vienna was. So that's so cool you grew up there. And you mentioned your parents moved there when you were 10 years old from Mongolia. So tell us about your childhood in Mongolia.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That was interesting because, I was actually born in Russia. Because
what? That part I did not know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird, but I'm fully Mongolian. But both my parents are Mongolian. It's just that they were working in Russia when they had me. And
whereabouts in Russia? Because Russia is so long. So
I know it's so
east
big.
Or west or
like 5 time zones.
5 time zones. Yeah, so big, so long. So whereabouts were you born?
So it was not so far away from Moscow. Like 2 hours driving. Or 3 hours driving from Moscow, and on the coast of Volga, it was like a tiny town called Dubna. And that town was a little bit strange in the sense that there was actually mostly like scientists living there, because so my dad, he's a nuclear physicist, and he was doing some.
Again, he's what? He's
a nuclear physicist.
Nuclear, wow.
Yeah. So he was doing a research project there, and that was a town where there was a center nearby, and they put him up there. Anyway, that was in the 80s. And then when I was 3, we moved back to Mongolia because he finished his research, and I continued to live in Mongolia until I was 10. And when I was 10, we moved to Austria, again, because of my parents. And
someone's commenting, I want to go to Vienna. Yeah, I recommend it. Once pandemic's over, I recommend it.
Yes, do go to Vienna. So, but no, it's and then like there, I lived there until I was 18, until I had to go to university, and then I had a choice of staying somewhere in Europe or to go to England, to London, because I really love London in the sense that you're saying it's so cool and so on. London is super cool, it's truly, multicultural, metropolitan. Things happen there first, and trends start there. And really, like, if you want to discover culture, London is also very comparable. Whereas Vienna is kind of small. It's only like, I think 2.5 million people, maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Wow. I did not know that you were born in Russia. That adds more to the mix of how cool you are. Yeah, that's awesome. So, this is something like you told me a long time ago that when people say, I guess nowadays like it's not really appropriate to ask. Also, where you're originally from, but you say, oh, I'm from Vienna or something, and then people just assume you said Vietnam and like, oh, Vietnam,
Yes.
like,
Yes.
like that tells you like, oh, so much about like this world, and like I get angry about those things. But yeah, you live in so many different places. It's like amazing. That makes you who you are. It's amazing stories. Thank you for sharing that.
No, thank you for having me.
Yeah. So yes, you know so many different cultures, but today we're gonna focus on the Mongolian culture. And can you tell us what food you picked, please?
Okay, so this wonderful dish that Ayaka is holding up, those are, you would know them as momos or dumplings, but in Mongolia we call them bowls. And yeah, and it's actually like the favorite dish of all Mongolians, I think, because it's kind of what we eat every day. And I eat this here when when I feel homesick or when I miss my family. It's I'm lucky that like I can go in Parkdale and get sort of a similar thing. It's quite authentic, but because it's Nepalese. But the Nepalese culture and Mongolian culture, I think it's quite similar in many ways. But at least in this dish, it's exactly the same.
Yes.
And this bowls is made of like a dough, which you make by hand by mixing flour and water, just that. And you have to make it certain consistency so that when you roll it out and you steam it, it doesn't become too heavy or too thick. So a little bit of experimentation is needed. And the filling is in Mongolia, it's mostly filled with beef or mutton, and sometimes vegetables, but less so, because Mongolians like to eat meat a lot. I mean, sometimes a lot of Mongolians, when they don't eat meat for a meal, they feel like they haven't really eaten anything, which, yeah. And when I go to Mongolia, sometimes I struggle with my digestion because it's so much meat, for all the meals.
What kind of meat do you eat first? And I'm gonna ask you about the vegetables too. But like, what kind of meat? You said like beef is common, but you don't eat chicken or pork often. Is that?
No, because Mongolians are originally kind of nomadic people, and their culture is very nomadic. Why? And they basically raise animals that they can travel with from season to season. And so that's why goat, sheep, cows, and horses and camels are like the main sort of staple of animals.
That makes sense. Show me that.
Yeah.
The meat.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So.
Yes. And it's pretty cold there too, right? So I guess certain animals has to like move around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you can be safe in the knowledge that like chickens, they probably don't do so well in -30. It's pretty similar to Canada, actually, in terms of weather and climate. So you have all the 4 seasons, and it's really beautiful. And then in the winter, it can get really, really cold. But in the summer, it's also very hot. So, yeah.
Okay, so you might have already answered my questions, but I was going to say, what kind of vegetables do you have? And now you already said it's like a nomadic culture. You don't really cultivate vegetables, maybe not. And then because it's so cold, limited what you can.
No. So there aren't that many vegetables in the culture of Mongolian cuisine. right?
Okay.
Obviously, nowadays, you have everything. You can find anything and everything you want. But I remember almost like 20 years ago, right, when I was taking some friends to Mongolia, I was telling them that they should prepare to not eat so many vegetables and to digest more meat.
Get stronger.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, so normally there's, in Mongolia, when I was growing up, at least, there's a lot of obviously root vegetables like the usual potatoes, onions, and garlic, and cabbage.
Cabbage, yeah, cabbage is really common in cold weather, like climate. Yeah.
Exactly. And but then at the same time, you have also like some Siberian wild herbs that's people collect and you can use in your cooking. But that's quite, that's if people have the energy to go out and, collect the herbs and berries and nuts. There's a lot of pine nuts. Actually, like pine nuts are it grows in Mongolia like wildfire. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Does Mongolia have many mountains and hills, or like pretty flat?
it's pretty flat in like 2/3 of the country, but then more towards east, like border to Kazakhstan. It's very west. Sorry, west. Yeah, west is it's more mountainous, and you have the Altai Ural region, which is like the mountain range in Central Asia, and that's part of Mongolia. So yeah. And then like in the middle you have the steppes, grasslands. So you have like very gentle rolling hills. And then to the south, you have the Gobi Desert, which is funny. Yeah, the Gobi Desert, which is like between China and Mongolia. And Gobi means desert in Mongolian.
Gobi desert.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah. Oh, so interesting. Like I just picture Mongolia as like a really green, like nice field, like for as long as you can see kind of place.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah. I think so. It depends on the season you go. I think if you go in like July, it's very green, but then like towards August, September, it becomes all yellow because it's autumn,
and that must be beautiful. Yeah.
It's really nice. Yeah.
Wow. And you have wild horses there. That's something like I learned about Mongolia a long time ago, and then like that was like the day that I learned there are wild horses in Mongolia. I was like, I have never thought of that. Like horses for me is always like with human everywhere. So I'm like, wow, that's like a wild idea.
Yeah, I know they exist out in the wild, even to this day, and they sort of live in the borderland between the desert and the steppes. And it's funny, they sort of don't look like horses as you know them. They look more like a cross between donkey and a horse.
Like smaller but built kind of thing.
Yeah, smaller, big heads, and also they're like sort of a golden beige color, and the tails are like donkey tails sometimes. Yeah, they're more like
donkey tails. I don't know how they look like. Horse tails are like hair, long hair.
Yeah, exactly.
Donkey tails, like
I
don't know.
There's like a stem to them, and then it's
stem.
like it gets bushy. Yeah.
And then a pom pom. Stem.
Yeah, kind of. But it that's what I've seen so far. And apparently they can cross like huge distances. I mean, they basically look like beige zebras, a little bit.
That makes sense. Yeah. Wow, so interesting. I seriously like Mongolia is in Asia, but like I feel so foreign. Like I don't know much about it at all. It's so educational right now, learning so much about it. And yeah, because I'm so into the conversation, I haven't touched the food yet. But I remember Momo's supposed to have lots of liquid in there. Booze, like same thing. Lots of booze, lots of liquid. Yeah. So if I cut, should I be worried?
Yeah, no, I think you're okay because
Okay.
this might be pretty good. It's only if they're like freshly steamed and they're
Okay.
just coming out of the cooker. The juices of the meat kind of like ooze out.
Yes.
Yum, yum, yum.
Yum yum. Okay. So this is the beef one. Oh, so and there's like a green. Is that green onion?
Yes. So it's primarily beef and dough, but obviously you have to add some onions, whether it's white onion, like normal onions or scallions. It's up to you. Depends on what you prefer. And my mom, she just uses salt and pepper to flavor her dishes, but you can add anything you want. So it's infinitely modifiable in terms of like what you like. You can even throw in some chilies, some ginger, and yeah. But essentially, they're like sturdier dim sum.
Sturdier dim sum, yes. So your mom used to cook this at home all the time?
Yes, she makes it almost like at least twice a week.
Twice a week, that's a lot.
Yes, because it's like at least it's my one of my favorite dishes, and also the favorite dish of my dad and my brother, and yeah.
You are not lying when you said everyone's favorite dish. You are not lying.
No, no.
Yeah, it's great. It's juicy. Yeah, I see the juice coming out. Oh, so good, exciting. So I'm gonna start rolling this into sushi.
I'm very curious as to how this is gonna work.
It's gonna work great, and I can tell already it's gonna be delicious because this is a delicious thing. Just like rice around it, and that's it. So it's gonna be really, really good. And is Mongolian food spicy at all?
No, not at all. Not at all. It's actually been blamed to be quite bland, and so on. But I have to admit that like it's because it's primarily meat. I'm sure a lot of meat lovers would agree that there's some natural flavors of the meat if it's good quality that you can appreciate without too many spices.
Yeah. Like simple ingredients. Like you want to taste the ingredient instead of like having so many like other things on. I guess that's surprising to me because like so many cultures or countries with really cold, severe weather, they like hot stuff. So like you feel warm and stuff, but not the case.
No.
Interesting.
No, they just rely on like good broth, and yeah, because all the bones and all the meat, like they like to sort of braise it and make a stew, and yeah, that's also one of the favorite meals. But sometimes, you go into like on the countryside, if you go into like a very traditional home. Sometimes you'll be presented with just a a bowl of like cooked meat, and that you have to cut pieces off and eat.
By yourself.
Yeah. And no, they don't like give you. They don't give you like kind of a plate or a seat or whatever. Sometimes you just have to kind of like take it with your hands, and it's it's very. You have to eat like everything with your hands.
That's cool. Oh, yeah. Okay. So usually, like, do you use chopsticks or more common to use fork and spoon, or what is it? Chopsticks. More like chopsticks culture.
More like chopsticks.
Yeah, but some places you have to use hands.
But chopsticks are a sign of sophistication traditionally. But obviously, yeah,
You know me, it sounds wonderful.
it's a very communal culture. And I'll tell you a little bit later on about some of the traditions in the countryside when you go to like very traditional homes.
Tell me now. Tell me now.
Oh, okay. So you usually, if you can eat with your hands, like if it's not soup, right? Then
Yes.
you know, like they encourage you to sort of like eat with your hands. So if they get a piece of meat or balls, or you know, the fried version of this is called hoshor, and you know, you just eat it with your hands. But you know, with the soup, you give in a bowl and you get chopsticks, and you can just, you know, like ramen.
Yes.
Yeah, so you can just do that. And then there's also like in the late summer, you get a drink called arak.
Adik.
Arak, yeah, and it's basically fermented horse milk.
Fermented horse milk. Wait,
Yeah.
there's so many questions. So,
I know, that was a lot.
okay, so to make this, you have to milk a horse first.
Yeah.
Milk a horse,
Yeah.
get the milk,
Yeah.
and then ferment it in how
Oh my
long
God.
do you leave it out, or
Well, I think it takes a couple of weeks, maybe, or you know, it takes a while. And what you do is basically, I think you sort of boil it to an extent, or I don't know. I don't know the exact details, but I know that you have to churn it regularly. So every day.
like making a cheese or butter or like similar.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to let it like ferment in a kind of a container. And keep it cool, and you know, like keep it in certain conditions, and after some time it's ready to be drunk. And it's still like milk, but it's a bit sour in taste.
Sour.
And yeah, it's like it tastes a bit like buttermilk.
I was picturing I don't now
Or
just
like
realized-
kefir.
Oh, root beer?
Kefir, you know kefir?
Yes, kefir.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. Yes,
Yeah.
because that is fermented cow milk, I think.
Yeah,
Kefir,
yeah.
kefir.
And
Okay.
but it's the consistency, it's like milk. So
Okay.
you drink it, and then it's slightly alcoholic. It's got like maybe 3% or 4% alcohol.
Wow. Like a kombucha, I guess. Fermented
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like a little alcohol.
Yeah.
Can I try that anywhere in Canada? I'm so curious now.
I don't know.
wonder.
Maybe we should go on a search for one. No?
I would. I've never heard of it. How do you call it again?
Arak.
What's adik? Adik. Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. And that, well, do children drink that as well?
Yeah. Yes. And you know, like it's actually because of all the sort of the fermentation and you know the bacteria and everything and the probiotic sort of ingredients and that grow.
Probiotics, yes, of course, yeah.
It's really good for digestion. And it's also got like kind of really high fat content. So you can also put it like on your skin.
Oh, Seann found it. Hi, Seann. Seann's the technician behind this, taking care of me so well.
And so like the way you drink it is usually it's like for a big dinner, big feast. When guests come, they bring it out, you know. So what happens is like the head of the house, there's like a big bowl, like a ramen bowl, almost, you know, kind of a big bowl, and they fill it up, and then they pass it to the first guest of honor, and the guest can choose to just take a sip or drink it all, you know, and
Don't
they can
share it with everyone.
well, and then they give the cup back, and then the cup gets filled up again and goes to the next person. Or if they don't, if they just drink a couple of sips or so, you know, they can pass it on to the next person if they want, but they can pass it back to the host. And so it's kind of funny because I mean that's sharing the food, and sharing, you know, like cups and plates and everything is seen as like really honorable thing to do in nomadic culture of Mongolia. So that happens sometimes. and like a lot of like some of my friends were a little bit freaked out about it because they were like, "Oh, I want my own cup," and I'm like, "It's okay. No one has really germs, so don't worry."
Don't worry. If we get sick, we all get sick together.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's beautiful. We do that with Japanese culture a little bit too, with a very, very traditional tea ceremony culture. Sometimes we share the cup, or at least the main guest will drink it, and then that cup might come back to other guests, or at least like we all look at the cup together because it's art. Cup itself is art, and then just like, okay, this person just used this dirty dish, and we're just like taking a look, but it's appreciation and honor. So there's like some similarity to that, and that also reminded me of is a Viking culture, like European, probably like Nordic European culture. They do cheers, so like we all drink the same thing. There's no poison, like it's just like we share this together. So like cheers so hard that like all the driplets go into each other's cups.
Is that the reason why we do cheers?
That's what I learned somewhere. Probably there are different origins in different places, but that's one of the origins is what I heard. So like when you're a guest, we really welcome you, and then like we are sharing this together. We share the experience. We share this like have fun. Let's have fun kind of spirit together. That's cool. That's really cool. So is this like usually the guest, and then like children and women are the last people to drink kind of thing?
Yes.
That's the tradition they should change. We should be like, okay, women first, children first.
Well, it depends. I mean, like if you're a woman and you're like the guest of honor, you get served first. So it depends on like, what the situation is. So I've been out there many times where, they give me everything first, even though, even though I was with my brother, who's, obviously a dude, but because he's younger, he has to come after me.
That's the interesting part. So like if you're older, you're more respected. That's the culture? Wow,
yes.
Okay. Doesn't matter what gender is, like you're older, that you're more important. Wow.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, that's really, really cool. How is like politics there? Do you know much about like how liberal they are or more conservative?
I mean, politics, I guess like everywhere, it's a little bit messed up. It's kind of chaotic over there. They, so in 1990, 1991 actually, it was communist for a very long time.
Okay.
So it was behind the Iron Curtain, so to say. And then 1991, obviously, the whole thing collapsed. It became sort of a capitalist country. And you know how Russia is today? It's I would say it's very similar, in terms of like how people live, the politics, the wealth, and then the poverty, and also, the strange circumstances that these people are surviving in the economic climate, right? So there's a lot of entrepreneurship, but also a lot of corruption, and so on. So in Mongolia, it's not different. It's just on a smaller scale. And, I mean, I left just before the collapse. I knew only like the communist Mongolia, but obviously I have been back since then, and it's changed a lot. For a while it looked like they were kind of progressing towards more social democratic kind of a country, but there is still like loads and loads of corruption. So it's difficult. A lot of people complain a lot, and then I thought maybe it's the same as everywhere.
It's same as everywhere. So do you feel like there's more Russian influence than Chinese influence? It's like sandwich between Russia and China. Okay, more Russian.
Yes.
That's interesting. And then the main like religion is Buddhism. Yes.
Yes.
Is that a lot to do with the culture and even politics and stuff, or is it separated?
It's traditionally because Buddhism was the religion before it became communist.
Okay.
Because like for communists, there was no religion, and it was kind of eradicated. Actually, all the monasteries were destroyed.
Oh.
Yeah. It was a horrible. It was like this crazy time in between 1910 and 1920, like 1930. There was like a 20-year period where Mongolia went through quite large changes in its culture and its society. There was the rise of communism. There was the establishment of Republic of Mongolia in 1921. And in between, they had like a revolution, almost like the Cultural Revolution in China, but very similar to it. But it was like supported by Russians, and they were promoting communism.
Wow. Did you say 1921? So like this is like 100th year this year.
Yes. Oh my God.
There must be like a big party or something.
Well, yeah.
Celebration.
Now you tell me. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I didn't realize.
Yeah. Wow, that's interesting. So so interesting.
Yeah, because before that it was Manchuria.
Okay. Wait. Part of it was Manchuria, or like that's the part called the Mongolia was called Manchuria.
So China and Mongolia, and I think maybe some part of like Central Asia was Manchuria.
Oh, Manchuria. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I need to learn more about Asian culture and Asian history. I know the words, like all the things that you say, but like I didn't connect that like thing.
Yeah.
I need to learn more history. I need to go back to school. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, and it's an interesting place. It's like I was taught all of this because it's obviously part of my culture, and a lot of people go like, oh, I didn't know, la la, and I'm like, well, there isn't really any reason why you should know. So I know it because my parents are always like talking about it, saying like, you should know your history, you should know what it means to be Mongolian, especially because we travel so many places and live not in Mongolia.
Well, today is the day for me, like learning so much from you, and now I'm gonna keep learning it because it's fascinating. It interests me. So thank you. Thank you.
Have you finished?
As we are talking, I wrote this. So how would you name this role?
I don't know. I mean, like, let's go for a very simple bull's roll. No?
Bull's roll. Yes, do that one. Yeah, Sean's ready. Bull's roll. Yeah. Oh, it looks so good. So good. You see? It's juicy. Yay! Juice.
It looks delicious. I wish I tried some.
One day we'll make this together one day. So but I'm gonna try it now. And do you use lots of soy sauce in Mongolia?
Yeah, no, people love soy sauce over there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I will always have soy sauce with me when I eat sushi. And this is the fusion between Mongolian sushi and Japanese sushi and all together. So I'm gonna try it. And I usually ask Sean to put drum roll while I chew, so no one has to hear me chew. But if you know any like Mongolian songs, please sing.
No.
Okay, I'm not gonna make you do that. But if you know like any poems or something, you wanna read.
Oh damn! Yeah,
Okay.
No. I'm literally just getting over my fear of public speaking. So you can't.
You're so good at speaking, though. You're like, wow. Thank you so much for being in the show and speaking to people. But okay, I'm gonna try it. Itadakimasu.
Yay!
Yay. It's very good.
Yay! Whee!
There you go. So good. You know gyoza, Japanese gyoza.
Yeah, it's the same. It's very much the same.
Similar.
It's like
Sorry, I'm chewing still. Go ahead.
no, but I feel like this whole dumpling thing, it's repeated everywhere in Asia, right? And I think primarily because it's just really practical and delicious.
So good. But Japanese gyoza is, I think it has lots of Chinese influence, and it has lots of garlic and it's very like garlicky, and it's always pork. But this is beef, so that's new. And it's not garlicky. This one's not garlicky, so it's so easy. Like I feel like I can just eat as many as I want. It's like, yeah. Oh, it's so good. And then when we gyoza, we often eat rice with it, so I feel really familiar. The things that you were telling me is like, oh, so there's so many new things, but this, I'm like, okay, I can do this. I feel familiar with this.
You mean you're gonna have that dish again, just like that for you to outside of the Ayaka's Kitchen series?
Anytime. Now you told me where you got this from, and then like this is so close to me, so I will go back there. Yes. Oh, we forgot to mention. This is from Logan's Corner in Parkdale. If you're in Toronto, check it out. It's actually really good. Yeah, this beef gyoza, beef blues. That's like really new to me, but it works. It really works.
Yeah, no, it's the best thing. It's like so as I said, I eat this when I'm feeling homesick, and it's really like it has all the right flavors.
Yes.
It feels really good.
Exactly.
And Loga's Corner also has an awesome hot sauce that they give with you when you get the momos.
Yes, it came with it. I tried it. It's really good, but be careful. It's really spicy, but it's really good. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I am learning so much too. Yeah, I think I told you, Ivelle, like I don't think I have ever met anyone from Mongolia ever. You are the first one, so I have a lot to learn. Actually, what's the population of Mongolia? I never asked, and I never.
It's not that many. I think we're only like 4 million people.
That's it. It's like smaller than GTA. So
Yes.
It's so rare. It's so rare to hear someone from Mongolia to like hear those stories. That's whoa. I'm honored. Thank you so much.
But I'm quite sure that there is like a large, like somewhat decent community of Mongolians here. So
In Toronto?
I'm sure there is. I haven't gone out and searched for them, but in every city there seems to be some pockets of Mongolians. And because I guess just like me, they like to travel and they like to explore. So yeah,
That's great. Well, if anyone's craving meat, make sure you meet Mongolian people, get invited to their parties, so you get lots of this, and it's delicious. And yeah, it was so insightful, educational today, just to hearing your story. So thank you so much, Ivelle.
I'm glad I could be that insightful and educational. I'm surprised, but
So cool. How do you say thank you in the language, Mongolian
okay,
language?
it's really complicated. Most people kind of go like, okay, maybe next time. So to say thank you, it's bairla.
Say it again.
There you go. See, bairla.
Parla. Oh my God, that's hard. Okay, I'm gonna practice that. There we go. Parla for now. Parla is that?
Yeah, bairla. Bairla, bairla. In Italian show.
Better soleil, better soleil, better soleil, better soleil, better soleil, better soleil.